Just testing the microphone, make sure everything's going. I'm going to start at 8 o'clock, so there's 2 minutes. Oh, it says it's streaming live, so if anybody's on and anybody's watching, then hopefully you should be able to see me live. Okay, so there is not a great lot that you need to see at the moment. What I'm planning on doing for this show is looking at a week, or looking at what it's like to be a teacher. Just having a look at my timetable. So I'm going to keep it short and just go through roughly what you would expect to do as a teacher. All right, so hopefully you get some insight out of it. I am just testing, make sure everything's working. Okay, just sending out an SMS. So the way to get onto this is, just in case you, well, if you're already on here, then you will already know. But if you ever want to get onto any of my future shows, it's www.youtube.com/user/Johnson Labs /live. Okay. All right, so it's 8 o'clock. All right. To be honest, I'm going to keep this short. I'm just chucking up my screen up there so you can see what's going on. I'm checking my screen. What I'm going to do today is go through my week 8 timetable. So basically, what happened last week. First of all, I'd like to say Happy Easter to everybody if you're watching. If you're watching from a future time, then it was Easter, so it meant that we had all different things on. I'm just going to push off my thing. Okay, so you should be able to see my timetable now. So this was week 8. As you can see here, so the way I've got this set up is, this is my week 8 timetable. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for Thursday, Friday. These are my lessons. So we run a 7-lesson day. Lesson 5 is our pastoral care line. So it's when we have our, as you can see, our middle school pastoral care time, chapel for our 7s and 8s, 9s and 10s, middle school assembly, and house or Rungy Cup is when we do our competitions or meetings. Imagine Hogwarts, where they're competing for different things. So that's how we run. As you can see, Good Friday, I had a 5-on day. We didn't have to worry about teaching that because it was Good Friday. Athletics Carnival, I had a 4-on day. Again, I didn't have to worry about teaching it for that day. So, as in my role as assistant head of middle school for teaching and learning, I have an extra couple of lessons off. So I have 4 lessons off a week for meeting staff, for setting up different things and so on. So on Monday mornings, we have our staff meeting, which I'm just going to highlight. So we have our staff meeting with myself, the other assistant head of school, and our head of middle school. So time when we get to catch up, see what's going on, work out what plan for the week. So that's a lesson gone. The other lessons, which are in white, 1, 2, 3, 4, missed those on 5 and 6. So basically I had 6 lessons off for the week. Most teachers would be able to go, oh, well, that's a great time to get planning done, marking done, printing, setting up for practicals and so on. But I want you to understand just how quickly these times disappear. These grey times, recess and lunch, look fairly empty. I didn't realise how quickly they disappear as well. So I had, basically to kick off my Monday, I got to school on Monday probably about 8 o'clock, worked for a little bit, and then dropped my daughter off down into the junior primary school, and then came back for our meeting. Our meeting ran till 9:30, which meant I had to rush off and get to my Year 8 class. My Year 8 class, we did microscopes and cover slides. So that was previously set up by our lab tech, which is fantastic. I can then roll with the prac. We were using the microscopes to look at different things. We were looking at letter E, so anyone that teaches Year 8 science will probably recognise it. We also looked at how to use put a cover slip on a microscope slide. Once that prac was done, finished. I then had to rush off to a staff birthday. I then had one lesson free to set up my robotics thing. For robotics, I do not have a lab tech for that, so I have to set everything up myself. And I have just received an SMS, so you can tell that it's live. So here I've got my Year 10 robotics class. So I had to go and set up all the stuff for that. So we're using Lego Robotics at the moment, and we were setting up a practical which required the students to look at underground mapping of ore reserves, which is basically using their robot to work out distance to different things under a covered table. So I've spent my one lesson off setting that up. I've then got middle school pastoral care, which gave me a chance to get around and see all the students in middle school. I've had lunch to myself. It's a rare thing. It was great. Allowed me to eat some lunch quickly, but also I got some marking done. My Year 7 science class, we then ran a Kahoot. I'll teach you about that in a different lecture. But a Kahoot is basically an online quick quiz that students can participate in and get instant feedback. So especially gamification. And we looked at properties of matter. So our Year 7s are looking at states of matter and properties, so solids, liquids and gases, compounds, atoms and molecules. So we spent the lesson working on that. I'm not going to go into any more details on that. I then had my Year 10 IT class. IT are currently working on developing shipping container conversions. So they're using 3D modelling tools such as Google SketchUp to build their shipping container of what they want to do. They are then uploading it into Unity, where they are creating a world around that shipping container. They then upload that into InVR, which is a virtual reality headset app which runs on your computer. They can then runs on your phone. They can then get on their phone and put the phone in a headset, put the headset on their face, and then they can walk through their shipping container. So my purpose in that lesson is all the people who knew what they were doing, get on with it. All the people who didn't know what they were doing, come and speak to me and help out. And as soon as everyone's running, I then start calling people up and marking their work live. I find that giving live feedback and a process mark or a mark to see how far they've got means that students know exactly what they need to work on. We then had our staff meeting, which ran from 3:30 or 3:45 until 5 o'clock. So I left school just after that, probably about 5:30. Got home. I then spent probably about 3 or 4 more hours marking, planning for the next day, because as you can see, there's no real planning time for the next day. Tuesday, I rock up to school. Again, rocked up at 8 o'clock, dropped my daughter off and went to class, or got prepared and went to class. We're currently working on, for my Year 9 IT class, we're working on Excel. Each student has got a booklet that they're working through to design and run a whole series of Excel spreadsheet challenges. The one that I'm expecting to be up to at the moment is number guess. So this means that they are all working on their own. They can follow along with videos that I've created. If they need any help, they can come up to me and I'll help them out. Otherwise, I just, again, same as the Year 10, I'm calling them up and saying, well, where are you up to? Do you need a hand? Yes, and marking their previous work. So there's 7 Excel challenges they need to get through in 7 lessons, basically, with a test in the last one. And I just continue to make sure that they're processing through it. Everything gets marked all the way, so by the end of it, I have quite a good understanding of their depth of knowledge of Excel. Lesson 2 on Tuesday. So one time which I've had some time off, so I've gone, right, I have 45 minutes to either mark some work, design a prac, request a prac, plan for a lesson or set up printing. I got on with some marking for finishing off marking for PLP. I got through about six of the tasks because each one takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So there's still another 2 or 3 hours of work that needs to go into that before I finished. So I did not get very far. Can I please point out that during your day, if you can get all your marking done during the day, good on you. Well done. If you cannot but you really have such small segments to get things done. So to make the marking very simple to mark, be very productive, or use that time for printing, preparing, and planning the lessons. Then from recess through to lesson 5, we had a Harmony Day barbecue, which was needed to be run. So I had to set up and run the barbecue. Now in schools, this can happen any time. Generally, it's normally planned in advance, but quite often you'll have a lesson planned, which I did here, and all of a sudden you go, well, that lesson's been cancelled because we've got an assembly, or so on. So there goes all that lesson. Luckily, all these students are in my PLP class, which is personal learning plan. Had to go off to assembly, which meant that I could stay there and keep helping with the barbecue. We then had Year 7 and 8 chapel, and I then had to spend lunchtime going back and helping to clean up the barbecue, making sure everything was done, making sure everything was put away. My Year 8 science, so this is marking that I'd already previously done. So I handed back the prac that they'd done with their review and their notes and everything to see how they've continued on with their prac. They then continued to work on their unit review to finishing off the cells section that they're working on. You notice that because it's Good Friday, I lose a double lesson for this week. I also have them on Monday, which means I'll lose Easter Monday as well. So I see them on Tuesday and then the following Tuesday. I teach a computer club after school, so my lesson 7 I had to spend setting up for the computer club. Which is working on, at the moment we're working on Tinker Play, which is an app allowing students to create a animal, creature, person, monster thing in a 3D realm. Once you've finished it, you hit print and actually pulls the pieces apart, a bit like snap together Lego. You can then print all the pieces. Once it comes off the printer, the students can snap it all together. All right, I had computer club after school from 3:30 until 4:30. I then meet up with a colleague of mine after that, from 4:30 to 5 o'clock, and we work through to about 7 o'clock. We go and grab some dinner, and then that's it for the day, at which point I get the chance to go home. So again, I'm working from about 8 till 11. On Wednesday, we had athletics carnival, so anything we did want to do, go on. Right, so athletics carnival, we get to school at 8 o'clock. I ran shot put was my task. I ran shot put from 8:30 till 12. I then had to run do yard duty behind the tents. So this is across the oval from 12 o'clock till 3:30. So basically that's an 8:30 till 3:30 day straight through. Now, admittedly, it's a very simple task. Directing students or measuring shot put distances, but that's 8:30 till 3:30 straight through. There's no break apart from any break we can snatch in between events, or if some teacher comes over and covers you. But so there's an entire day. Well, I kind of say wasted, but it's important for the school. Athletics carnival is great for students who are not so good at academics. I got home after athletics carnival. I finished up at 3:30. I then had to run the detention, which finished at 4:30. So by the time I got home, it's getting up towards. So I did a little bit of work at school to get prepared. Took my work home. Got home at 6, and then worked through to about 10. So again, another long day. Thursday, I'm working on the 3D printer. So I have the lesson off in the morning. So it's a chance for me to get my 3D printer printing. All have to point out as well, all during here. So in this lunchtime, recess, before school, anytime I've got a spare, I'm trying to get the computer club's 3D printer running, 3D printer stuff printed off. Each print job only goes for about 4 hours. And if it works, then that's good. But I will put something on, say, Tuesday morning. It takes about 4 hours, so I'd come back normally about lunchtime, print something off, come back after school, hit print, come in the next morning, take it off, right? So there's lots and lots of little jobs to do. So worked on a 3D printer, had to clean up a whole bunch of stuff and set the other ones running. So there's 4 printers, and each in 2 different areas of the school. Each one takes only about 10 minutes to set up, but when you've got four printers, there's a lesson wasted just hitting print. I then had my personal learning plan meeting, which was scheduled for lunch, so I had to print off my final marks for my students for our benchmarking period. We had a staff meeting on Thursday, which is also a good, like an Easter meeting as well. I then had my science lesson, so I was checking homework and checking how well students have been doing their work. So the way I did that is to go back through the questions and call each student out one by one and say, can you please answer the next question? I just did it alphabetical from the class list and basically gave a tick to every student that could answer the question. Now, if a student hadn't done the work and they were later on down the list, then perhaps they could have answered it, they could have calculated what question they might have got, even though I did shuffle up a bit, but they had an opportunity to quickly finish off their homework. If I had to start in reverse order, they wouldn't have that opportunity, and they never know how I'm going to do that. Later on, I will show you how to do a randomized Excel spreadsheet, which allows you to put students into groups or choose homework checking or anything like that, but not for today. PLP, we then got the students to be working on their personal learning plan, so they are developing goals. So far, we're in week 8. I'm meant to have 2 lessons a week, and by the end of the lesson, I would have 7 lessons with the students. This is because of swimming carnival. It's because of athletics day, holidays, meetings, lots of different reasons. But it means that, considering I'm meant to have had 22 lessons with the students, I only had 7. Trying to get work out of them is quite difficult. Now, they've done a fantastic job. I'm really impressed with them. As far as I'm concerned, all of them have passed the requirements. Going to the PLP meeting was where I find that out. We had a Year 10 chapel, which went for a normal amount of time. I then had a PLP meeting, which ran for the whole of lunch. About 15 minutes to the end of lunch. The PLP meeting was a benchmarking task where the 4 teachers sat down. We took a grade student, passed it to the left, had a look at it, went, yep, that looks fine. Took a B grade student, took a C grade student. All of us, that marking is pretty tight, so it wasn't that difficult, and we discussed what we need to continue on with. In the last 15 minutes, I was sitting with a staff member, and we're discussing about spreadsheet and grading, because I use all of my stuff goes into spreadsheets, and they can mail merge it out. The students that were doing, the teacher was saying, well, how do you do all this stuff? And I showed her, gave her some grading books, some marks books, and so on. She was pretty happy with that. And we'll look at investigating further in the future how we can tailor the marks books and spreadsheet exactly for what she wants to do. If you're running with a learning platform, your marks books might be in that, but otherwise I would suggest have your marks books in an Excel spreadsheet or something, so that way it does automatically grade calculation, it tracks your marks, and every time you enter something, send it to yourself. Send a copy to yourself via email. You never have to open it, but if you lose your computer or something goes wrong and you lose your marks books, you can always go back to the latest one and see how the student's going. Also, sometimes you'll change a grade, hit save, and then you go, oh wait, I made a mistake there. You want to be able to get back that saved grade. Final thing I had on Thursday was out my Year 10 robotics class. This was the last lesson I have with this group, so I had to pack it all up. So I spent a double lesson basically dismantling all their Lego robots, sorting it all out, and then tipping it back in the box ready for the next group. That took the whole double lesson. Once they'd finished, they left. However, there was lots and lots of extra pieces, which I've then had to go around and clean up. So by the time I've left for Thursday, or finished up for the day, it's probably getting up to about 4:30, 5 o'clock. I then take and work home again, but seeing as it's a 4-day weekend, I actually give myself a little bit of an early minute and gone around and visit a friend. So that was good. It was nice to actually finish off the week. So there you can see that's a pretty standard week. Well, apart from the fact that I've lost 2 days, and what's that? 9 whole lessons. I had 3 frees in there, which would have been nice to have, but equally I had a lot of lessons which I've missed or skipped. If I picked any other day or any other week, it's pretty much the same thing. So if you're getting yourself into teaching, which all of you are, you're going to find that your weeks disappear. Right? Your planning happens either beforehand, in the lead up to the term, or in the weekend before the week, or on the morning before the lesson, depending on how organised you are. But any plan you have to use your free lessons to get any work done, pretty much you have to really smash out that time, because you may get relief lessons, you may get a meeting that's called, you may be asked to help do something, or you may have to clean up after a lesson. So your lessons will disappear. Assume that you're working an 8 till 5 job, even though not all that was with the students, and pretty much pack your lunch, because it's not always easy to get down to the lunch to grab a bite to eat. If you think that you're going to be going to teaching and sitting down and going, yeah, all right, I've taught my lesson, well, I can kick back because I have to teach another lesson till the afternoon. No, that is definitely not the case. You're going to be flat out. If you do have any spare time, then get stuck into your marking, get stuck into your preparation. Keep in mind that I have all my stuff already prepared. So all my lessons are prepared, all my PowerPoints are prepared, everything's already prepared. So I don't have to really worry about, I don't have to worry so much about other work that needs to be done. For people who are new first year out teachers, you're preparing your PowerPoints, you're preparing your assessment tasks, you're writing unit plans, you're writing lesson plans, you're meeting with your mentor teacher, you're meeting with your university supervisor, and you're going observing other people. So any spare time that you thought you had, you're pretty much not going to have. All right, that is my 20-minute rant on what I would expect you to be doing for a week as far as teaching goes, and admittedly it's a short week. Hopefully you get some kind of insight as to what is expected from going to school. I know that you have all the people who've done the Bachelor of Teaching would have been in school before. For those of you who are doing grade prepared, then this is just a bit of a heads up. This is what to expect. All right, now this is my third video in the series. If you need to watch any other ones, go back and watch them. I'm going to do a few more of these, and depending on the feedback I get will depend on whether or not I keep going with these. Otherwise, have a good Easter, and I will see you next week.